Alrighty, so Battlefield 6 finally got the California Resistance update. I've personally been waiting for this one because I was really excited to see how this Eastwood map was going to play out in the actual game. I spent a good number of hours playing it today. I played the new mode Sabotage as well, so I'm going to be kind of discussing basically just my thoughts about everything that I experienced in the game today, as well as if I feel like the changes were good or not to bloom, movement, aim assist, those sorts of things. So before we do that, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications set to all so you don't miss out on any of the Battlefield 6 content here in the channel, and let's just dive right on into it. So the first thing I'm going to be starting with for this video is the new map, because that's the big ticket item of this update, of course. The new map is Eastwood. It's a Southern California map. It's much more vibrant, visually speaking, from the other maps in this game. Very sunny. It kind of actually looks like a little bit like the GTA map, just because obviously the GTA 5 map was inspired by Los Angeles, so it does have that vibe for it. For the most part, I actually don't really have a lot of negative things to say about this map, and I do think that it's genuinely one of the best maps we've gotten so far in the game. I kind of wish it actually launched with Battlefield 6, because personally I was actually playing on it and enjoying my time more than something like Blackwell Fields, for instance. I feel like this map is really good if you are an engineer. I think this map is balanced enough that recon is not as crazily overpowered as they were in Blackwell Fields, and I do think that the map still has a decent role for assault, especially with the ladder, because there's a good amount of rooftops where people will definitely be on top of, and having the assault ladder definitely will give you an advantage here. So I think all the classes are pretty okay for this map. I don't really think that you need to play one or the other. There's definitely a lot of tanks, so obviously if you are an engineer, you might have an advantage in just being able to fight those off. I think personally the map was decently sized. I don't think it was too small. I know some people said it was too small, but when I was playing it, I didn't really feel like it was that small. I think it's definitely a lot larger than I was expecting it to be. From a gameplay perspective, there's a lot of places to flank enemies from, a lot of great places to hide out and be able to actually strategize, because there's a lot of buildings and a lot of shrubs, trees, plant life, stuff like that in this map. So there's definitely many ways to avoid that meat grinder feeling that was in many of the other maps so far in Battlefield 6. It's certainly more balanced than maps like Empire State, so I do think that this map is probably one of the best in the game right now. I'll talk about them as well. With all the good things though, there are still some problems with this map, and for helicopters, it's another kind of difficult situation where you can't actually fly above a certain point. The flight ceiling is really low in this one. This makes it a little bit difficult to counter with all the anti-air that's going to be on the ground. There's also no jets, so I personally don't think jets would have fit with this map, but just letting you know there's no jets. If you enjoy jets, this isn't really going to be your favorite map. The battle pickups are a bit of a mixed thing for me. On the one hand, they're kind of fun to use because you've got stuff like a minigun. Occasionally there were people who would use them, but sometimes I would notice people just walk right on by and not really care to pick them up. So I don't know why, but I just kind of feel like they're so underwhelming to use because they're not as powerful as you would expect. You can easily just get hit by another enemy because the recoil feels a little bit higher on the minigun, for instance, so it doesn't really have that much of a gameplay advantage like you would have hoped it would. It's creative for the flow in Battlefield 6. I'm just not necessarily sure if I was a huge fan of it. The lighting was probably one of the worst things for Eastwood. If there was anything that detracted from my experience on this map, it was 100% the lighting. It was really bad to go from in and out of buildings. It was very blinding almost. I'm not really sure if they cranked it up on this map or something, but definitely a problem with this map was the lighting. But overall, I don't really see myself not wanting to play on this map, and I do like it for the most part. The golf carts were pretty fun to use to move around. I think that the map is fine, and I don't personally have too many complaints about it, not like I did with Blackwell Fields. Now, the Sabotage mode is the newest mode in Battlefield 6. It's a limited time mode, I believe, and it's 8v8. Basically, this one is a bit of a weird one here. So a lot of people don't like it, and that's kind of the overall majority opinion. Personally, I felt indifferent about it. I wanted to play it for the challenges, but I personally have always liked Battlefield for the large scale battles, not the close quarter stuff. But with this one, I didn't really know whether I hated it or not, because it did kind of give you a reason to want to keep using your engineer tools. And as an engineer main, I feel like this is just basically a game mode made for you, but something about it feels off in a way, because the balance balance of the spawns to the locations that you have to defend or attack is just kind of strange. Basically, the whole objective is one team attacks, one team defends, and you've got points with a bunch of cargo, like crates in them, and one team's objective is to destroy all of your cargo, and the other team's objective would be to defend all the cargo, and you can repair them using the engineer repair tool as well. So basically, this kind of map is just kind of you either destroying boxes or fighting off people destroying your boxes. So it's a little bit weird like that. In a way, it's kind of silly, but I think that the main problem with this game mode is just the way that the balancing was implemented, because you have one team that's so close to all the crates, the other team is not, and you're just sort of in this face-to-face constantly. Like, there's not really a lot of room to go around, things like that. Something about it just felt off. The idea itself is not bad, but the execution of it was a little bit difficult. I also think another problem lies in the way Battlefield marketed this mode. Destroying cargo and defending cargo sounds a lot like a search and destroy mode, and that is not what Sabotage is at all. It's quite literally nothing like search and destroy. So if you thought this was search and destroy, it's not. Alright, so those are the new things that were added. Now let's talk about the actual way the game felt today. So some people reported problems with frame rate drops, with crashes, things like that. On Sabotage, there was a weird glitch that would happen when it would spawn into the next round. When you would have to load for the next round, it would just kind of stop you at the screen where it wanted to load in. For a minute, I thought my computer had crashed, but the game was still operational. I could go into the menus, I could see the scoreboard, things like that. So obviously it hadn't crashed. And then it would load in. So it was weird. It would say loading now, and then it would get to 0 and it wouldn't load. So that was a bizarre glitch. Some people reported some pretty rough frame rate drops on the new map. Nothing of that I experienced personally on console or PC. Packet loss wasn't too bad today. Hit registration was actually pretty solid, and for the most part, I think that some of the changes made were pretty interesting. So the first thing here is definitely bloom was reduced. If there was anything that I could tell 100% was changed with this update, it was bloom, because my shots actually landed today, which made this game significantly more enjoyable. I know a lot of people think, well, you have to tap fire. Yes, tap firing still is the best way to actually play, and for the most part, tap firing was the best way to get accurate shots, but having reduced bloom and weapon spread just made it significantly easier and much more logical when your shots landed or didn't. So it wasn't as crazy at all like the game launched. The bug that would have you propel through the air by jumping off of a ledge was fixed, so no one was flying, thankfully, today. Movement today felt a little bit better, a little bit smoother. It just kind of overall felt like more of a nice experience to play today. Now, one of the things that was definitely changed was the aim assist on the controller, and it took me a minute to kind of tweak with my settings, and I still honestly didn't really tweak 100% everything. I'm still kind of going through and trying to figure out what my best settings are for this one, because the default settings on the controller are not my favorite for this game. So the aim assist is definitely different. I was playing last night on my PlayStation 5 before the update, and then I played today after the update, and it's definitely a bit of a difference. After I'd gotten used to the one before, I have to kind of get used to this one now. Personally, I'm not a huge controller player anyways, so I do have to kind of tweak my settings still a little bit, but for the most part though, it feels like it is a bit of a buff for aim assist without having that weird rotational thing that was happening where it would almost force your gun to move in a certain direction and things like that. So if you like the open beta's aim assist, you're gonna like what they did today. One issue that did occur with the update was that people's keybinds and settings kind of got reset for some of these things, so do keep that in mind. If things feel suddenly different for some reason, that it might be why. But audio today was better. I think for the most part, the bugs and problems that were causing a lot of issues for many people were pretty much fixed. Challenges were tracking, I was able to get my unlocks today, all these sorts of things. We also have a new Battle Pass track for today's update, but this Battle Pass track is only available for a limited period of time. So yes, if you're not a huge fan of this whole idea of needing to grind something in a certain period of time, this might be upsetting news for you, but this Battle Pass track is only available, I think, for 20 days, starting today, obviously. For the California Resistance update, there are some challenges you can do to make it go faster, and the thing is though, this track, you unlock it simultaneously with the base Battle Pass, so it's not like you have to finish the base Battle Pass pass and then do this. Not at all. You do both at the same time. So don't worry about it. You will probably be able to finish things in time. It's actually not too difficult. Play through the challenges. They're not so bad. You're gonna have to play sabotage for some of them, but honestly, it's really not that bad to just go through these challenges, things like that. One thing that's irritating me is some of the Battle Royale challenges are included in the California Resistance set of challenges, so I guess at this point, they're not really going to not do that, but it's definitely irritating in my opinion to have to deal with Battle Royale challenges in a base Battlefield game, especially because I'm not really planning on playing RedSec. Some of the challenges are of course still related to the Battle Royale, so that is irritating. It doesn't really look like they're not doing that at all. The skins were definitely an improvement though, so there are some new skins. One of them in the new Battle Pass track looks pretty good. There's some new skins in the shop. Some of them look fine as well. So for the most part, our feedback is being taken into account, which is really cool to see, and hopefully the game continues doing stuff like this. This update was pretty solid. Yes, of course, there's going to be things that break. It's kind of expected with any update I've played in any game at this point, but so far, what they say is kind of being delivered, which is pretty solid. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. How do you feel about the new update? How do you feel about the Eastwood map? How do you feel about sabotage? I know that mode is definitely not everybody's favorite, so I'm curious to know what you guys think in the comments below. Leave a like, share, subscribe, and turn on notifications set to all so you don't miss out on another upload. And that's all for today, folks.